Hi there! In this video, we will discuss the characters from the novel El Filibusterismo, or The Reign of Greed, written by Dr. José Rizal. These characters each have their own stories and traits that reflect different aspects of Filipino society during the Spanish colonial period. Join me as we take a closer look at these important characters and how they became part of our history and culture. Let's begin. Simun, also known as Crisostomo Ibarra from NoypiTV, is a wealthy jeweler who returns to the Philippines after many years to seek revenge on those who ruined his life. He is a smart and influential character filled with anger toward the government and the church for oppressing Filipinos. Using his wealth and position, he pushes for revolution and freedom, but his plans often involve violence. Simun symbolizes change, revenge, and the anger of Filipinos under an oppressive system. His actions show the desperation of individuals seeking justice through radical means. In the end, his failure and regret highlight the limits of violent revenge as a solution to the country's problems. Basilio is one of the main characters from NoypiTV, whose story continues in El Filibusterismo. He is a medical student who succeeds despite poverty and the tragedy his family faced, including the death of his mother, Sisa. Basilio, who is intelligent and hardworking, represents the hope and determination of the youth for a better future. However, due to his experiences, he also becomes a silent witness to the corruption and abuse of the colonial government. Despite his efforts to succeed, he is drawn into Simun's revolution out of a desire for revenge and change. Basilio symbolizes the awakening of Filipinos to societal issues and their willingness to take a dangerous path toward true freedom. Captain Tiago, or Don Santiago de los Santos, is a wealthy businessman in Manila who represents hypocrisy and blind obedience to those in power. At first, he is an influential figure who aligns himself with priests and government officials to maintain his status and wealth. However, in El Filibusterismo, his downfall is shown after the loss of his adopted daughter, Maria Clara. He becomes addicted to opium and shows weakness and lack of direction. Captain Tiago symbolizes the moral decay of individuals under the colonial system and the loss of hope and happiness due to clinging to a corrupt system. Isagani is a smart and idealistic student who dreams of bringing change to his country through peaceful means. He is a friend of Basilio and the lover of Paulita Gomez. Isagani is known for his courage in speaking out against wrongs and injustices, believing that education and hard work are the keys to societal change. However, his convictions are tested when he faces personal challenges, such as Paulita's betrayal and Simun's destructive plans. Isagani symbolizes the hope of the youth and the sacrifices needed to achieve true change. Cabezang Tales, or Telesforo Juan de Dios, is a farmer who becomes a leader of bandits after priests seize his land. He starts as a loving father who wants a better life for his family, but the injustice he faces pushes him toward revenge. He symbolizes the oppressed farmers under the colonial system, who have no choice but to fight to defend their rights. His tragedy reflects the cruelty of society and the desperation of people in the face of oppression. Tandang Selo is the father of Cabezang Tales and an old farmer who has endured much hardship. He is a quiet, patient, and loving grandfather to Julie. But despite his kindness, he is a victim of the system's cruelty. The loss of his son and granddaughter, as well as the seizure of their land, brings him deep sorrow and leaves him voiceless. Tandang Selo symbolizes the elderly and powerless in society, who endure life's blows without resistance. Julie, or Juliana, is the daughter of Cabezang Tales and the lover of Basilio. She is a loving and hardworking young woman willing to sacrifice for her family. Julie shows kindness and selflessness, but despite her modesty, she becomes a victim of oppression and cruelty. When she struggles to pay for her father's freedom, she is forced to humble herself and seek help. When Basilio is imprisoned, she again seeks help, but her efforts end in tragedy. Julie symbolizes Filipino women who suffer under colonial rule and their quiet rebellion against injustice. Captain General. The Captain General is the highest-ranking government official in the Philippines, representing Spanish power. He aims to maintain his authority and show his influence, but often makes decisions based on personal interests. Despite his power, he shows no concern for the welfare of the people and often gives in to the whispers of priests and corrupt officials. The Captain General symbolizes the corruption and indifference of the government toward the nation's well-being. The High Official. The High Official is a Spanish official who is fair and compassionate in his duties. He acts justly and is unafraid to oppose the wrongdoings of his superiors, including the Captain General. He shows the true spirit of public service by being fair and reasonable, which is rare among other officials. His character symbolizes hope that there are people in government who care for the welfare of the people and are willing to stand up for what is right. Don Timoteo Peláez. Don Timoteo Peláez is a wealthy businessman and the father of Juanito Peláez. He is opportunistic and often aligns himself with the powerful for personal gain. He becomes part of Simun's complex plan due to his desire for influence and wealth. Don Timoteo symbolizes Filipinos who engage in corruption and rely on the protection of those in power for their own interests. Juanito Peláez. Juanito Peláez is the son of Don Timoteo Peláez and a favorite student of the friars. He is lazy, mischievous, and arrogant, often using his influence as the son of a wealthy man. He interacts with Paulita Gomez, but does not truly love her, seeing their relationship as a way to gain power. Juanito symbolizes the youth who are indifferent to the country's problems and prioritize their own happiness over serving society. Paulita Gomez. Paulita Gomez is a beautiful, wealthy, and educated young woman loved by Isagani. She is modest and polite, but has a weakness for luxury and dreams of a lavish lifestyle. Despite her love for Isagani, she chooses Juanito Peláez for the promise of a more stable life. Paulita symbolizes women trapped by tradition and societal expectations, often prioritizing personal comfort over participating in the larger fight for the nation. Doña Victorina. Doña Victorina is a Filipina who pretends to be a mestiza and has high ambitions to be part of Spanish high society. She dresses extravagantly, uses fake accents, and constantly looks down on her Filipino heritage. She despises the Indios and wants to be seen as Spanish, but she is often mocked for her pretentiousness. Doña Victorina symbolizes the foolishness and self-degradation of Filipinos who have no love for their own culture and race. Don Tiburcio. Don Tiburcio is the Spanish husband of Doña Victorina and a fake doctor. He is weak, afraid of his wife, and forced to hide due to the constant abuse and humiliation she inflicts on him. Despite being Spanish, he has no power and lives a complicated life, reflecting the struggles of foreigners caught in the complexities of Philippine society. Don Tiburcio symbolizes the sadness and weakness of people who lack the courage to fight for their rights. Ben Zabe. Ben Zabe is a journalist who writes stories and news favoring those in power. He is intelligent but uses his talent for the wrong purposes. He spreads false and exaggerated news to strengthen the image of the friars and officials. He often presents himself as a thinker contributing to society, but in truth, he has no concern for the truth. Ben Zabe symbolizes journalists who use their profession for personal gain and stray from the true purpose of their role. Macareg. Macareg is a wealthy student and leader of the movement to establish an academy for the Spanish language. He is intelligent, passionate, and cares for the welfare of his fellow students. He uses his wealth to support patriotic causes and leads a group aiming to improve the country's education system. However, in times of crisis, he often backs down and lacks true courage. Macareg symbolizes leaders with potential but lacking the determination to fight until the end. Pecson. Pecson is one of the student companions of Isagani and Basilio, known for his pessimism. He often doubts the plans and goals of their movement and speaks freely about his doubts. Despite his intelligence, he is often seen as a hindrance to the movement due to his negative outlook. Pecson symbolizes individuals who, despite having good intentions, do not believe in their own or their group's ability to achieve change. Sandoval. Sandoval is a Spanish student who joins Isagani and Macaraig in the patriotic movement. He is idealistic and cares for Filipinos, and despite being Spanish, he fully supports the students' goals for reform. He often defends Filipinos against dismissive fellow Spaniards, becoming a symbol of unity and the possibility of understanding between the two races. His character shows the potential for collaboration between Filipinos and Spaniards for a common goal. Placido Penitente. Placido Penitente is a quiet and intelligent student with deep anger toward the education system and society. He wants to study and succeed, but is constantly disappointed by the corruption and injustice he witnesses. His anger symbolizes the frustration of young people seeking real change but losing hope due to ongoing abuse by those in power. Through his character, Rizal shows the danger of neglecting the youth and how it can lead to revolutionary feelings. Tadeo. Tadeo is a lazy student who often skips class. He participates in movements not out of belief but to have fun and avoid responsibility. He is known for being mischievous and often pretends to know everything, despite lacking dedication. His character reflects the youth who lack direction and are not serious about their responsibilities, becoming obstacles to the true goals of the patriotic movement. Padre Salvi. Padre Salvi is a Franciscan friar full of evil and hypocrisy. He was once an enemy of Ibarra and plays a key role in exposing the corruption of the church. In El Filibusterismo, he continues to control people using religion and fear. He is manipulative and willing to do anything to maintain his power, even if it harms others. Padre Salvi symbolizes the evil and abuse of the church toward Filipinos. Padre Camorra. Padre Camorra is a friar known for his roughness and disrespect toward women. He is full of lust and often abuses his position for personal pleasure. His attraction to Julie and his abuse of her show the lack of morality among some friars during that time. Padre Camorra symbolizes the disrespect of foreigners for the rights and dignity of Filipinos, especially women. Padre Fernandez. Padre Fernandez is a Dominican priest with a more open mind than most friars. He cares about education and is willing to listen to the grievances of students. Despite being a friar, he is unafraid to speak out against the wrong system and supports educational reform. His character reflects the possibility of change from within the church and the hope that there are priests who truly care for the welfare of the nation. Padre Florentino. Padre Florentino is a Filipino priest and uncle of Isagani, who chooses a quiet life in the province. He has high principles and a deep understanding of the country's situation, but chooses to stay away from politics to live simply. He is the one Simone turns to in the final part of the novel, serving as his conscience and showing true care for the nation. Padre Florentino symbolizes people of integrity willing to sacrifice for the good of the country, but understanding the limits of violence as a solution. Padre Irene. Padre Irene is a friend of the students and an advocate for their goals among the higher-ups. He appears kind and humble, but often shows friendship for personal gain. In the end, he represents people with good intentions, but lacking true courage and dedication to fight for their beliefs. Padre Irene symbolizes hypocrisy and those who lean toward power, but fall short in times of crisis. Padre Millon. Padre Millon is a Dominican friar and physics teacher known for his strictness and cruelty toward his students. He symbolizes the unjust education system during the Spanish era, where teachers use their power to abuse and assert dominance over students. His character shows the irony of education under colonial rule, which instead of providing knowledge becomes a tool of oppression. Señor Pasta. Señor Pasta is a Filipino lawyer with a high position and connections to friars and officials. He is intelligent and skilled in his profession, but chooses to avoid anything related to politics and change. Señor Pasta represents professionals who prioritize their own safety and interests over the struggle for the nation. He symbolizes people with ability, but lacking the courage to use it for the greater good. Don Custodio. Don Custodio is a government official known for pretending to be an expert in everything. He makes decisions without real knowledge and often favors the friars in his decisions. His plans and ideas are often useless and show the government's inability to create real progress for the nation. Don Custodio symbolizes incompetent and hypocritical leaders who hinder the country's progress. Quiroga. Quiroga is a wealthy Chinese merchant who aspires to become the consul of China in the Philippines. He symbolizes foreign businessmen who use their wealth and connections with officials to expand their businesses. Quiroga is willing to compromise with friars and officials to maintain his business, even if it harms Filipinos. His character shows the spread of corruption in trade and the dangers of colluding with exploitative leaders. Captain Basilio. Captain Basilio is one of the prominent figures in town who is friends with friars and government officials. He is intelligent and careful in his decisions, but often aligns himself with the powerful to protect his interests. Known for being practical, he often serves as a mediator between the friars and the townspeople. His character shows local leaders who, despite their intelligence, do not fully stand up for their country due to fear or personal bias. Maria Clara. Maria Clara is the former lover of Crisostomo Ibarra and a symbol of purity and innocence during that time. She dies in El Filibusterismo, but her memory continues to inspire Simón and his goals. She symbolizes the oppressed Filipino woman suffering under the colonial system, and her life reflects the lack of freedom for women in society. Her tragedy mirrors the hopelessness of Filipinos under Spanish rule and their desire for freedom from the chains of tradition and hatred. Pepay. Pepay is a dancer known for her close connections to friars and government officials, particularly Don Custodio. She is used by those in power to influence decisions. Although she is not deeply involved in patriotic goals, she shows the role of women in society, who often become tools or victims of the system. Pepay symbolizes the powerlessness of women who are drawn to those in authority for personal gain. Mr. Leeds. Mr. Leeds is a mysterious American entertainer who presents a strange show at the fair using the head of a Muthus. He is a smart man skilled in magic and illusion, which he uses to entertain the audience while delivering a message about the truth of oppression. Mr. Leeds represents foreign characters who bring new knowledge and perspectives to the Philippines, opening the eyes of Filipinos to their situation. Imuthis. Imuthis is the mysterious head presented in Mr. Leeds' show. He is an ancient Egyptian who tells the story of betrayal and the killing of his people. His story serves as a metaphor for oppression and revenge, inspiring the audience to see the truth behind the current state of the Philippines. Imuthis symbolizes history and truth that are ignored or hidden by those in power to maintain their rule. Cabesangandang. Cabesangandang is the mother of Placido Penitente. She is a simple mother who supports her son despite their poverty. Her care for Placido reflects the typical sacrifices parents make for their children, especially in education. Her character shows the dedication of parents willing to do everything to give their children a better future, but are concerned about the country's future due to corruption and injustice. Sinong. Sinong is a carriage driver who has a bad experience due to the abuse of the civil guards. He is tortured and fined for his mistake of not carrying a license and a light on his carriage. His story shows the cruelty and injustice ordinary Filipinos face at the hands of colonial officials. Sinong symbolizes the small and helpless individuals in society who continue to be oppressed by the system. And that concludes our lesson on the characters of El Filibusterismo. If this video helped you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell to stay updated on our future videos. Until next time, thank you for watching.